The biggest reason that we went to Las Vegas was so that we could go on these day trips, and there are some really awesome options. Our first recommendation took us through the Valley of Fire, and we had some awesome beer, and we even went and saw the Hoover Dam.
And it's really hard to beat a road trip in the American Southwest. Hi guys, I'm Turtle.
And I'm Bear, and we are the Gallivanthropologists. We're a father-son team of traveling anthropologists, and we're gonna be going around the world traveling to over 100 countries in the next few years.
While we're doing that, we're gonna promote cultural heritage and ecotourism and a little bit of food culture. So please like and subscribe and stick with us because we got a really nice destination for you today. And as we wound our way through the desert, we found this beautiful state park. And as park rangers, you know we love us some parks.
Today we're going to be driving through the Valley of Fire in Nevada. So welcome to Valley of Fire. Right now we're at the Beehive, so it's a really cool rock formation, as you guys can see.
And no matter where we go, we see these rock faces and they have these darker surfaces, and you know it's just like begging for an artist to come along and scribble something really cool or tell you about their hunting expedition or something.
Well, luckily we could see on the map that there was such a place, AtlAtl Rock, and it had some really cool petroglyphs.
And I really enjoyed the way that they kind of protected you, and they protected the rocks, and they protected the art by putting this nice stairway that went up the side of it and a nice little fence at the end.
Yeah, and it can get really crowded at this park, so it's also a really great vista because you're up higher so you can see the beautiful view of all the awesome rocks.
We're here at AtlAtl Rock, which is a really cool place to see some petroglyphs and to get up close to them. But they do ask that you don't make your own petroglyphs, which some people unfortunately have. Now, what an AtlAtl is kind of the precursor to a bow and arrow. It is a stick with two places for your finger hole. And then when you throw it, the centrifugal force will actually make a spear fly faster, and there were specialized points and everything like that. And being an archaeologist, one of the things that we seem to do pretty regularly is practice with archaic tools and archaic weapons. And so I'm actually really good at an AtlAtl, like significantly better than I am with a bow and arrow. But this place is definitely worth coming to see. It's wonderful. It's really not crowded today, so come along.
And those are definitely the main petroglyphs, but don't miss the ones that are right next to it and all along the walls. So as you're going down the stairs, you'll see a couple of little ones as well. It's a really cool sight.
And one of my favorite things was when we found all the ones on the hike that we went on later.
And right next to AtlAtl Rocks, there's a few campsites there. I have to imagine these are pretty seasonal because it gets really hot. And if you're really feeling adventurous, there's even walk-in campsites.
No wonder this is one of the top 100 drives of the world. The scenery is out of this world, like literally, and it's nice and windy. You're going relatively slow, but I'm afraid if you were going much faster, it would be really hard to control yourself and to get to see anything but just staring at the asphalt. Really nice though. And little did we know how much this would remind us of Wadi Rum when we got to Jordan. The landscape is at least relatively similar. I will say though, you do not want to drive through the desert in Wadi Rum, and you're gonna have to subscribe and all that good stuff to see what happens when you do, because I did decide to do that. The roads here were much nicer though, and we were making our way to a really cool hike at Mouse's Tank. We're gonna go down the Mouse's Trap Trail, which has a bunch of petroglyphs, and we're gonna go take a look at those. It's only 3/4 of a mile out and back, but in this heat, that is quite a lot. They call it the Valley of Fire Multiplier. Say that fast 3 times. But they say that anything you would do at 85 degrees, when it's 110 like it is right now, it's like doing 3 times as much. So make sure that you're conscious, smart, bring your water. Let's go see some petroglyphs, huh?
And it wasn't long after we started hiking that we got to see some of those petroglyphs.
As you walk along on all of these red rocks, there's all sorts of petroglyphs, and so keep your eyes peeled on both sides. Some of them are marked because they're considered important. Some of them are not. I will tell you that there's a couple of kind of normal looking people here. I'm assuming this is a man. And then there's a couple that look a little weird. And I heard a hypothesis about these that I thought was really interesting. Aliens did it! But I don't believe that. So, just a little fun.
And once we saw our first set of petroglyphs, it was like they were everywhere. Anywhere where there was that dark stone, there was some sort of glyph. And that was really awesome, but definitely wanted to get a little bit of shade because it is hot today. The consensus is that the gypsum, which were the hunter-gatherers in the area, were the ones who made most of these petroglyphs. And it's everywhere. I mean, they really had quite a fun time painting these rocks because it's like everywhere you look. See some glyphs over here, you got these ones here, some over there. It's pretty amazing. We didn't end up hiking all the way to the end. It just got way too hot for us and for our machines.
So make sure that every once in a while you take a nice little break, because you need a break and your GoPro needs a break. I'm sorry for the shortage of footage here, but GoPros tend to overheat really quickly in 110 degree heat. Little suggestion from one marketing expert to another: you guys should make these things white. You probably would get at least 5 more minutes in the heat.
The heat is no joke, guys. It's like 110. It probably feels like 120 out here. And our GoPros kept overheating and our phones kept overheating. So I think that's probably our last hike for today. We're here at the Rainbow Vista, and we're gonna drive through this so you'll see a little bit of it, but I wanted to show you guys what 150 million years of geologic history looks like.
And another cool thing about the Valley of Fire is there's actually like 3 or 4 different ecosystems here, and all of them look different, and I was really looking forward to maybe a little change of color. And this drive is really, really nice also, so I'm gonna give you a little break and just let you experience it with some nice music.
And we were going into another section of the park, the Fire Canyon. And as Dad alluded to earlier, some of this just looks like it's out of this world. In fact, this section was even a prominent part of a Star Trek film. boldly go where no man has gone before. Wait, probably like 1 million people a year ago here. But it's beautiful view, and this is so iconic. You guys absolutely have to come here.
And while we were standing up there imagining we were on a Star Trek set, something very alien for the desert showed up. Animals. There really aren't a lot of animals up here. The mountain goats were really cool and very nimble. It was a very, very athletic move they made to get down into the shade, which I couldn't blame them for.
Yeah, speaking of shade, I think we had had enough of the heat. So it was time to get in our cars and head toward our next destination.
Besides billy goats, one of the rarer things that you'll find in the desert is water, and that is what our whole next destination was about. If you get a chance, make sure you pop over and see the Hoover Dam. This is one of the engineering marvels of the early 20th century, and it still functions today. And they finally did get some rain, so it does look like the water level isn't as bad as it was with all the YouTubers a couple of months ago. It is really cool. The water's a really cool color.
The views were pretty damn nice down there, but the best views were on the Mike O'Callahan Pat Tillman Memorial Bridge, otherwise known as the Hoover Dam Bypass Bridge. So we're standing on this bridge, which they call Bridging Greatness, and it's actually the borderline between two states. So one side is Nevada, the other side is Arizona. So if you can walk from one state to another in less than a mile. So it's pretty cool. There's plenty of places to get beer in Las Vegas, but it's definitely much less expensive to do outside of Las Vegas. So on our way back, we went to Henderson and found a couple of cool breweries.
We're here at Croft House, and this is one of the top rated breweries here in Henderson, Nevada, just outside of Las Vegas. And we got the Vista brat, and so this has elk in it, and wild boar in it, and wagyu, and caramelized onions, and crispy onions, and it just looks awesome. It's one of the best sausages I've had in a long time, if not ever. The sausage itself is wonderful, but it's sweet and crispy. It's really well done. Hopefully their beer is as good as this, and we got a flight to check it out also.
We got a flight here at Croft House Brewery, and we got quite an array of drinks. We got some, we got a sour, we have just kind of a dark lager, and then we have a couple other dark beers. So I'm gonna start out with the sour. I don't normally like sours, but this one sounded interesting. It's not bad. I mean, it's definitely drinkable. It has a really good balance of sour with wheat, and I like wheaty beers. This is part of why I like this. It's supposed to have notes of coriander. I'm not getting that, but maybe Dad will. But it's really not bad.
And the sour is called Zitrone. It's too sour for me, but it's smooth, and sometimes sours are not smooth, so it's drinkable. I don't get the coriander at all. Our second beer is the Station House, and this is kind of close to my heart because it benefits the local Firefighters Benevolent Society, and it's a red ale. It's kind of smoky, and the malts are gentle, the IBUs are pretty low, I would say. Let's see, says it's supposed to be 24 IBUs, and I'd say that's accurate. The most important thing is, cheers to firefighters, because you guys do a wonderful thing, and I love to see people doing things that benefit you.
The next beer in our flight is the Urban Panda, which is a Schwarz beer, which is native to Munich. And Schwarz beers are supposed to be dark, obviously. They don't have any fruity flavors. They're supposed to be really heavy on the malts. I think this one's supposed to be a little smoky, but curious to try it because we're going to be in Munich in a couple of weeks, and I'm sure that I'll try plenty of them and I'll be able to compare. It's not bad. It definitely has some smokiness to it. Really good, rich, sweet flavors from the malts. Definitely drinkable. And the aftertaste is very chocolatey, so might be my favorite.
This one's the Cuckoo, and it is a Munich Dunkel, which is like an older style Munich dark beer. Dunkel meaning dark. And we'll be looking for a lot of these when we're in Munich here in a couple of weeks. This one's got a little bit more of a tartness to it than I expected, but it's very drinkable, and I think it gets the mouthfeel and the color right, but I'm just not positive I would qualify it exactly the same. Last beer in our flight is the Bellegarde, and I always save coffee beers for last. And the smell alone will wake you up. It's caffeination up the nostrils. It's very coffee forward. It is a locally brewed coffee, and it does have a nice chocolatiness to it. And it doesn't have a lot of alcohol for a stout, but it's all in all pretty darn good, and probably my favorite. So we tried the #1 rated brewery here in Henderson, and right next door, essentially about 100 yards away, is the #2 rated brewery. So we're going to get a flight here also, and we're going to compare. And it looks like they are having a nice trivia night here. I know the answer to the first one, but I don't have a piece of paper. I wonder if anybody wants to cheat and put me on their team.
Our first beer of our flight is the Shandy, and this is the Surfside Shandy. It's supposed to be grapefruit and lemon. It smells pretty sour, but I usually like Shandies, so let's see. It's pretty good. It's got a good balance. It's sour, but it's not overly sour, so it still leaves it pretty refreshing. I could definitely drink a whole one of these.
Apparently this place is really known for its sours, and it's also really well known for almost all of the brewers are women, and it's women owned. So cheers to you ladies. I do like a Shandy also. And it's beer shot time. Ready?
4955.
So just a little moral clause, bluffing isn't wise. Now that's just the name. This is a Hefeweizen, and it's a German Hefeweizen, but it smells Belgian. And it is definitely Belgian. I do not like the banana bread gumball. Not my favorite. Maybe Brendon will like it.
Our next beer in our flight is the Fresca Fiesta, which is a strawberry and lime gosé, and it's supposed to have flavors of tequila in it. So I'm pretty excited to try this, actually. It's really interesting. I'm not sure I'm getting a whole lot of tequila, but the strawberry is kind of like a candied strawberry. It's almost like a strawberries and cream.
And this one is a Marzen, which is famous for Oktoberfest, where we're going to be in 3 weeks. Bucket list trip, baby. So we're going to be drinking pints and pints of this, I'm sure. And it's a really good representation of it. It actually has a little bit more of like a spiciness on the top of your mouth than what I'm used to with the Marzen, but I really like this. This is an excellent beer.
Our last two beers are actually kind of the same beer, just one has chocolate and one doesn't. It's called the Long Night. It's an Imperial Milk Stout, and it's 10% alcohol, so probably gonna be pretty good. This is the one without chocolate, and then we're gonna compare it to the one with chocolate. And this is the one with chocolate. There's definitely a difference. It's very noticeable. This one is very chocolate forward, and I like it better, I think.
This one's without chocolate. And this one is with chocolate. You can definitely catch the chocolate on this. The back end of this is actually better, but the smoothness of this makes it my favorite, which is super equitable because Brendon likes the chocolate better, so he gets the finishness. Anyway, this place was probably, to me, a little bit better than Craft House. The food game at Craft House was spot on, but I think the beer is better here. So do both, because you're in Vegas, and what happens in Vegas, hopefully you forget the next day. And if you do want to know what happened in Vegas with us, we shared a whole lot of that last week. We're going to share a little bit more of it next week. So I hope you've been following along and enjoying yourself.
Yeah, and if you like this video, this is definitely more of our kind of video. Valley of Fire was awesome. You're definitely going to want to watch next week's video on Zion. And in the meantime, like, subscribe, drop a comment, and as always, find yourself on the journey.